Hello everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here. Hope you're having a great day. Hope this video can make it a little bit better. Today I'm joined with two awesome riders. So we have Tyler Morgan, also known as Riot Dirtle, and then we have Penelope Aratos, also known as Riot Lope. So today we're going to be talking about the recent patch that just came out that added a whole bunch of awesome features, increased the champion legend levels, the awesome animation speed increase, new champions, new adventures. We'll be talking about all of that today. But we're going to start off with the marketing campaign. Lope is the creative director. She was one of the minds behind this awesome campaign. So pretty big marketing campaign. We haven't really had anything similar to it in quite a while. How far in advance did you have to get all this prepared?
Yeah, so we actually started to work on the cinematic back in early July. So it's actually been spooky season for me for a while now, and I'm ready for warmth and Santa.
So Fiddlesticks was the first PvE only champion. How did that really influence your development of creating him as a champion?
Yeah, so once we were building specifically for PvE, we got to experiment with a bunch of mechanics that wouldn't necessarily feel great to play against, essentially. Like normally when we're developing champions for PvP, we try and make sure that there's a bunch of clear interaction points and that nothing you do to the opponent feels too bad. But the AI is much more complacent and doesn't complain about getting its deck milled. So we were able to experiment with more mechanics like terrifying nightmares that normally we'd shy away from due to bad play against. It was also just generally much faster to develop. Like when we release something broken to PvP, then one person goes yay and 9 people go boo. But when we release something broken to PvE, everyone's happy for the most part.
Yeah, it definitely seems pretty oppressive to play him, but I have seen some people, some PvP players online that actually think that he could be okay for PvP, which I don't play PvP at all, so not really sure on that. But is there any chance in the future he could eventually end up being in PvP?
Definitely not this year or next year. Developing a champ for PvP takes much longer than it does to create a PvE champ, and it relied on infrastructure that we don't really have on the team anymore. So with our current focus on path and our current team size and resources, we just can't really do it.
For the marketing campaign, did you intentionally have Evelyn there as a bit of a misdirect?
I did, yes. The whole goal or the whole thematic of the campaign really was all about misdirect, and I think it kind of plays well into Fiddlesticks' whole shtick, which is kind of like the inciting fear amongst others, and so that was kind of the inspiration for it.
Okay, yeah, that day I definitely expected it to be Fiddlesticks revealed, and I was like, oh, Evelyn, okay, I guess that's cool.
It was really hard to not respond, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to post something on Twitter that hopefully reassures some folks. But I think that was actually probably one of the biggest challenges, was not responding to folks's worries about it not being Fiddlesticks. So but the payoff, I hope, was worth it and exciting for folks.
It definitely was very fun, and it was interesting to have something different to look forward to every single day. So with this patch, they also added a lot of awesome new UI or UX design elements, such as the whole new nightmare system. But with that, we do have a lot of champions right now in the game. It's getting a little hard to find what you're looking for sometimes. Any thoughts on adding a filter or search functionality into the game?
Yeah, we definitely recognize that as a pain point. It's a pain point for us too in dev. We do a lot of play testing, and this comes up a lot. So improving that experience is a priority for us, but I don't know when something like that would happen.
Okay. And yeah, there was 3 brand new adventures, which was pretty surprising. We knew about the Fiddlesticks, both his difficulties coming out, but 2 other nightmares was a very pleasant surprise. And I believe you were the main designer behind them. So tell me about making those nightmares.
Yeah, so we knew with the new map layer coming out and uncapping all of the different experience bars that you're getting, it would be a really exciting moment to fill out that nightmare pool. This time we wanted to bridge the gap between difficulties a little bit more. Like Lysandra and Swain are both really, really hard adventures. And some of the weekly nightmares can be really hard too. So we wanted to sort of bridge the gap between Aurelian Soul and those other adventures a lot better. So that's kind of what these adventures were designed to do. I had a lot of trouble getting Fizz to be easy enough. We kept playtesting it and getting feedback that it was too hard. So eventually we just made the power symmetrical, and that did a good job of it.
I definitely like the symmetrical power. Makes it very fun for you to be able to build around it. And yeah, I know Fizz can be quite a nightmare in the monthly challenges. He's probably one of the champions I hate going up against the most, because with certain powers he's just absolutely terrible.
Little slippery jerk. Yep.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny because I was a Fizz main in League of Legends. But I do think he did a great job with making this be bridging the gap, because especially for the Viego Nightmare, he is a decent amount easier, I think, than both the Swain and Lysandra. I think Swain and Lysandra can be a little bit more punishing, whereas Viego is a great way to get a 5-star adventure done without getting countered too hard by the enemy. So it's still difficult, but yeah, I definitely think it's a good way to bridge that gap. So kudos to you. I think you nailed it.
Thanks. Yeah, the early 5 stars were sort of coming out before we had a strong framework of exactly how much difficulty we wanted to add per star. So now that we're developing new things, we have a chance to sort of like smooth that out more.
I want to talk a little bit about the Fiddlesticks Nightmare, because, well, the Fiddlesticks adventure overall is very well done. Fun to see a brand new adventure for the first time, where all new fights. I love all the boards you guys added in. And also, I think the boss fight for Fiddlesticks is great. So what was your favorite part designing that adventure?
I mean, the whole thing was really fun to design. Like, we did it from a pretty sort of top-down perspective, where I was just talking to people about their nightmares and like looking up common nightmares and stuff. So we want every encounter to be like a common fear or nightmare. And that's how we got to like some of the weirder encounters, like falling.
Yeah.
The shark attacks. I think Survive the Night was like the most interesting one from a design perspective, because we were just sort of trying to flip that whole thing, the normal script of an encounter on its head, where you are purely defensive, to try to sort of evoke that feeling from like a zombie movie, or any sort of horror movie where you just have the protagonist just trying to hold out for a little bit longer to survive until daybreak or the plot happens or what have you. And so trying to capture that, and then I like that it sort of has 2 notes where you're at first like, okay, there's just stuff attacking me, I can deal with this, and then you start seeing the lifesteal stuff and you're like, oh no, this will not end when I thought it would end. And that interaction was very fun to me.
Yeah, every one of those fights is very fun to go through. And yeah, I didn't really think about the fact that every one of those is actually like a nightmare or a phobia. Because yeah, for a lot of them I didn't really recognize. But like thalassophobia, I totally was like, oh, I know what that one is. I know what that means. Yeah, that is the closest thing I have to a phobia. And yeah, played Subnautica is like overcoming my fear. But that was really interesting design element. And yeah, I think you guys nailed it with the new adventure.
Sweet, I'm glad.
So probably won't be able to do this for every patch, but can we expect some similar sort of marketing campaigns in the future, with maybe these sorts of post-revealing things, maybe cinematics, music videos, anything like that?
Yeah, I hope so. I think a lot of the fun that we had with this one was, being able to release not only a music video, but also like a full music track on Spotify. So things like that, I think, are a really great way also to give players some additional content that I know that they've loved in the past with Shine On and Breathe and things like that. So yeah, I think the hope is that we can at least do maybe 1 or 2 big patches like that next year.
Yeah, it was definitely a awesome song. So since we have this whole new nightmare side of the map, which is really nice, are you maybe going to add nightmare versions of currently existing adventures, like a nightmare version of ASOL and things like that?
Yeah, I think over time, most things will get nightmarified. We've been prioritizing the adventures that were previously story adventures because most of the time players are going to play those exactly once and then never again. So these feel more new than potentially some others. But I think most things will get nightmarified in time.
Okay, that makes sense, and it is great going back and reusing some of those adventures. 'Cause, yeah, people play them once and then never again, even if it was a really good adventure. So yeah, I definitely think that's pretty smart. So we have Fiddlesticks. We were told that we're getting 4 brand new champions this game. With Fiddlesticks, he was able to add in some unique gameplay opportunities, some new keywords, gameplay effects. Can we expect that with some of the other new champions coming out as well?
So we want every champ that we develop to feel like they have a really novel play pattern and strategy, but that doesn't always equate to like new vocab, right? We can often make patterns that feel very different from other champions' patterns by reusing existing tools or like doing mechanics in ways that don't necessarily require a new vocab. So it's not going to be like one-to-one every champ is a new vocab, but when it makes sense for the champion, we'll absolutely do it. With support cards, most champions will have a few support cards, although Fiddle's definitely at the high end of that.
Okay, good to know. And then kind of last to finish off, is there anything you can tell us about the next upcoming update in November?
I think players are going to be really excited. We're doing something different with the game than we ever have before, and I think it is going to be a very good time to be a player.
All right, looking forward to it. Before we then finish off, anything you want to say to the community and all of the players out there?
Thanks for sticking with us. It is really cool to see your interactions with all the new stuff we're adding. We really appreciate the feedback we get online, and just keep it coming.
All right, thank you both for joining me, and thank you all for watching. Really hope you all have a great rest of your day. See ya.